All right. Welcome to the Bengals Real Talk annual draft. I guess this will be our draft roundtable. You know, for you guys that have stuck with me for a while, you guys know some of these faces that are on here. I've had some of them on the show before, but this is how this channel really started. Like, it really started about us coming together and just talking about the Bengals, our team, our passion, all of that. And I always like bringing my guys back on, especially when it's draft time, because I felt like that was the first video that we did on here that just got a lot of traction. So obviously, it started off on a bad draft because it was 2015. That was 5 years ago. We all hated the Cedric Ogbuehi pick, and as we see, we were right from that moment on. But kicking things off, obviously, it's a new era. But before we get into the draft, let's talk about free agency, right? So we signed DJ Reader, we signed Josh Bonds, we signed Trey Waynes, we signed all of these guys, Mackenzie Alexander, Von Bell. It just was crazy, right? Moody, what were your thoughts on free agency? Like, what did you like that the Bengals did, and what do you feel about this New Day vibe that's going on?
Man, I was excited. I mean, I think this was probably one of our best free agencies we ever had. I mean, we picked up absolute stud with DJ Reader. Like he is going to make a difference for the whole defense because he's not just a gap plug or anything like that. He can shoot gaps, and then he's going to make life easier on Geno and Carlos Dunlap and Sam Hubbard and everybody, even the linebackers. They should be able to flow to the ball more now with Rita there, and you pick up a good safety like Von Bell, who's very good, coming up in the box, holding the edge, making tackles. He don't miss a lot of tackles. I looked up a stat on him, and I think he only missed maybe 2 or 3 tackles last season when he was in the box. He was in the box a lot because that's how the Saints used him. So we definitely gonna need that for the defense. He also has ever since maybe going back to his Ohio State days, he had a nose for the ball. Like he was always around the ball, trying maybe forcing a fumble, catching a pick, things like that. So he brings leadership too, and he's coming from a winning organization. So
Right.
they got Josh Bonds. He another guy. I watch him, being from the DC, Maryland area. The Ravens defense was kind of, they was suspect last year until they got Bonds to help line the defense up. He's a very good communicator, and he gets guys lined up. So he's definitely a good pickup for us too, to help Pratt with the communications, things like that, get guys lined up. And he's a good tackler, and he can help Stone the run. So the free agency was awesome to me, and it's one of our best free agencies we ever had. I was ecstatic.
B Stapes, what did you think about free agency for the Bengals this year?
I mean, hands down, this is probably one of the best free agencies I've seen as a Bengals fan. I mean, for us to really be aggressive on day one, day two, instead of always being the typical, like, basically bargain shoppers that we've always been. It was exciting as a fan, but realistically, it was a gritty signing. Like we signed gritty type players. Like DJ Reader is somebody that I feel like is going to improve the defense. Like, of course, putting him next to Geno that's going to be I feel like one of the top tier D line interior lines in the league, at least.
Right.
And realistically, I feel like that's going to free up Hubbard, free up Carlos Dunlap. And then with us struggling at linebacker, I mean, putting a big body type guy like that in front of suspect somewhat linebackers. And I mean, I like Jermaine Pratt, but I mean, again, he's young, but he definitely showed flashes. So I mean, I feel like that's going to help the defense. Josh Bynes is another guy, another veteran type free agency signing that I feel like is going to be important for us. Like, that's just, like Moody said, being able to line the defense up, and where he lacks maybe athleticism and youth, he's bringing in like that veteran leadership and that knowledge. So,
Right.
I mean, if you already know where the ball's going, that's half the battle.
Right. Anthony, what were your thoughts on free agency?
Man, I'm kind of echoing what some of the other guys have said, man. I mean, that the most exciting one has to be DJ Reader. Definitely, when you look at the game, if you go and get Game Pass and you look at what the Bengals was doing for the end of the season, like they were really lining up almost in a 3-4 defense. They had Geno Atkins playing defensive end a couple of times. Just looking at that Cleveland game, and so I think having a lineup like that and putting DJ Reader in the middle to clog it up like that, man, I think it's going to improve the whole defense, the defense as a whole, and it's going to free up the linebackers. The linebackers will have more room to get through gaps to make tackles. Because you have to think, man, like if you look at a lot of the games, man, offensive line was getting on them linebackers very quick, and when you got young linebackers that ain't, they're not block shedding that good. You know what I'm saying? They haven't learned the tricks. So, and McKenzie was another one of my favorite signings. Man, dude, he's a beast in the slot. I mean, he's a little guy, but he's a beast. He plays way bigger than what he is. So that was probably another one of my favorites. So man, I'm excited, bro. I've been talking cash. Our best friend, a Steelers fan, I've been talking cash. So I'm telling you, man, I'm excited. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. I have to say, like, I went through so many emotions, bro, because I really got like fed up when initially we didn't hear anything. And I'm like, all we were hearing was the Bengals struck out on this player, the Bengals struck out on that player. And I was just like, bro, I'm fed up of all of this. Like, I went on a rant. I was like going at Duke Tobin. I was going at everybody. And then the DJ Reader news came out. Zim tried to tell me, though. Zim was like, bro, you tripping. Just hold on. And I was like, nah, man, I've been holding on for like 7 years, bro. I can't hold on no more. And then all of the DJ Reader stuff happened. And then it was like, you kind of are like, wow, this actually is happening right now. The Bengals are going after a big name in their prime, paying them big money. And then right after that, like a few seconds, you see Trey Waynes, and it's just like, what? And it's like, I didn't even see that coming. Like for them to go out and try to get a premium position like a corner, like, yeah, we know that Trey Waynes is a little bit better than Drake Kirkpatrick. He's not going to come in and be Darrell Revis or anything. We're not expecting that, but it's like, wow, I didn't expect them to go out and spend money like that on a corner. So for me, I think definitely it was what we needed to have done, especially with the media kind of jumping on Mike Brown, jumping on the Bengals, talking about how we don't spend money in free agency. Joe Burrow should go somewhere else. And I feel like Mike Brown just kind of like hit the checkmate on him. Like outside of the comments that Carson Palmer made and outside of what we kind of heard from the national media narrative, he just kind of wiped that slate clean. So for me, like you guys said, I'm echoing the same thing. It was definitely the best free agency period I have ever seen from them. Like, especially with the Von Bell signing, that just really like caught me off guard. I was just like, wow, are they listening to the stuff that we say on social media? Like, what's going on? But outside of that, we got to talk about the Burrow era, because I feel like it's getting ready to start on Thursday. I can't remember a time where we, outside of maybe Carson Palmer, which I'm not going to flex. Like at that age, I was not old enough to like realize the gravity of what was going on. And I wasn't full all the way in like I'm in now. Like, of course, I knew who Peter Warrick was and Corey Dillon and all of that and those struggles. But for me, it's like this Burrow pick is hitting a little different. Like, I haven't felt like we've seen a quarterback like this as hyped as this since like Andrew Luck. And I can't believe that this guy is coming to the Bengals. Like, I don't really remember a time where it's like someone as notable as like a Peyton Manning or somebody that just has all of these accolades is coming to the Bengals. B Stapes, how do you feel about like this Joe Burrow thing? Is it hitting different for you, or is it just like, I feel like I'm dreaming right now? Like,
hey man, like you said, this shit is definitely hitting different. Pardon my French, but like you said, I was definitely invested in the Bengals when Carson Palmer came in. But like you said, I'm about to be 34 years old, so it's like it's different as a grown man.
Right.
and you watching your team draft a player like this. I feel like it just sparks off a different mindset, really. I mean, it's watching, just listening to other Bengals fans that are just against it. Like, I want this to be something that like lets them know like it's okay for us to have nice things. Like, so many people were like just trade the pick. Like yeah, he might be a generational talent, but we need to fill so many holes. And I'm just like, man, let's stop taking the Billy Price and let's go ahead and make a splash. And it was like we made a splash in free agency, and I feel like this draft pick is going to be pretty much represent the same type thing. Like, it's a new era, it's a new day, and like we were screaming that new day last year. But I mean, realistically, this is allowing the coach to go get the player that he wants, and it's time to roll.
Right, I'm with you on that. And Moody, you kind of been saying in our personal chat for a while that the Bengals kind of needed to change that quarterback. We thought that it would be kind of Tua, but obviously things kind of shifted, and Burrow just ascended and had, the best quarterback season we've ever seen anybody have. Like, that was just crazy, throwing 60 touchdowns, winning a national championship, winning the Heisman. Not something that we really we're used to seeing. But what are your thoughts on like Burrow and the excitement around him, and what do you think he can do to propel this Bengals team?
Man, I love everything about it. I've been on the Burrow train probably since before the Alabama game when they played Tua, and him and Tua was going back and forth. He has everything that we need right now. Everything. Like, he brings pizzazz. What I mean by that is, like, he's a superstar. People want to see him. So people are going to want to see the Bengals. I like how B said, he wanted to tell the fellow fans that didn't want Burrow or things like that, it's okay for us to have nice things. Like, I agree with that. Like, we don't always got to be flea market shopping.
Man,
so,
bro.
So I mean, like, it's time for us to have a superstar at the quarterback position.
Right.
Andy Dalton, he was good. He was a buzz. For most of the time he was here. He had some, bad games, but he wasn't a superstar. Whereas though with Burrow is a certified. He's gonna be a certified star from day one. He can make every throw. He's like, he don't back down from no one. That's one of his best traits is his toughness. And like he has that, like, what I kind of said it a little bit, but he has that MJ, Tom Brady, Kobe type mentality where it's though he want to take your, like, he's gonna kill, like, he trying to take you out where you play.
Right.
Like, he's one of the type where he won't stop scoring. He will look at, let's say, a prime James Harrison in his face and throw the ball, even though James Harrison maybe could be breathing down his neck, and make a 60-yard completion for a touchdown.
Right.
That's the kind of killer he is on the field. So it's like we need that type at the quarterback position. I know a lot of people don't want to, talk about Carson and things like that, but Carson was very talented, probably one of the most talented quarterbacks we ever had, but he didn't have that type of toughness and leadership ability and that charisma Burrow has. And Burrow, he's very accurate, so he don't miss many throws. I think from day one, people don't think we're going to compete this year, but if guys stay healthy, and I think day one we definitely can compete, and we can definitely make the playoffs from day one if the guys got to stay healthy though. That's the key.
That's really the key. Like, you really touched on it there. Like, in terms of staying healthy, that's something that the Bengals definitely have to do. And just having that quarterback position, not knocking anything against Andy or anything like that. It's just to have a fresh start there and to have a higher ceiling and to take the Bengals to the next level. I think that quarterback position, you can't ignore a guy like Joe Burrow coming through there. We saw what Pat Mahomes was able to do for the Chiefs. The Chiefs weren't bad before he got there, but Pat Mahomes just took the Chiefs to the top level, and they were able to get a Super Bowl, which we've seen lately in the NFL. It's almost essentially a quarterback league. It's what can your quarterback do for you when their back is up against the wall and you got to score points? If you don't have that quarterback position right, you can't do anything there. That's not a knock against Andy. It's just, in a sense, he was limited by the injured players that were surrounding him. When you have guys like John Ross, when you have guys like Tyler Eifert, they're not going to always be there at all moments of the game and of the season. So with a Joe Burrow, we have to see if he can kind of, in a sense, maintain that balance when there's turbulence in the air. Anthony, what are your thoughts on Joe Burrow and what he can do for the Bengals?
Man, look, Joe Burrow, bro, it's just a whole breath of fresh air. You know what I'm saying? With Burrow, man, just his whole awareness, everything. It just, bro, I'm excited, man. I keep saying the same thing, bro, but it's like we haven't had a player like this, like that comes with that confidence, and I think that's a big thing, is that confidence. Like he made it was I seen a tweet or something saying that he made a statement saying you can't go into Pittsburgh expecting to beat them without having the confidence that you're gonna beat them.
Yeah,
and
we need
it all comes down to just having that confidence. Like, listen, I can outperform anybody on the field, and we're seeing that with John Ross. John Ross hasn't had the confidence that he can burn these DBs. So when you got somebody who just got that confidence, man, like that's what we've been missing, man. So it's an exciting time, man. You know, everybody keep talking about just the 1 year, but you really have to look at that LSU 2018 season. Like, he gradually got better,
right?
And he beat some top teams in that 2018 season. He lost to Alabama and I want to say Auburn. And I looked at the stats in that game, bro. He was sacked 5 times in each of those games. So you have to look at the whole thing, man. But he just improved, bro. Like, bro, he's going to improve our whole offense, bro. Like, the whole offense will improve.
And I think you hit on something real major there, because I talk about this all the time. Even when the Bengals weren't taking a quarterback, just from being a fan of the draft, I think people undersell what you just talked about, which is that personality, that, you know, that drive, having that heart and stuff like that. Like, you got to be a strong-minded individual to last in the NFL, especially at the quarterback position, because when things go bad, people are going to talk about you. When things go bad in the game, your teammates are going to look to you to get them riled up. And those were just things that I did not see consistently, not just from Andy Dalton. I didn't really see that from Carson Palmer either. Like, Carson Palmer, yes, he was a great player, but I felt like he didn't take any accountability. Like, when the media would go at Chad and blame him for the Bengals shortcomings, he would say nothing. And to me, that's not what a leader does. Now, I will give Andy his credit. He has stepped up and said certain things have been on him. Carson never even did that in my eyes. Like, I never seen him take any accountability. And some of the things that he did say about ownership, some of them may be true, but it's always him pointing the finger at someone. You never hear him say, I shouldn't have thrown 20 interceptions that year. I remember a game against the Buccaneers. He threw like 5 interceptions. We were in a prime position to actually win the game, and he threw an interception that lost us the game. So it's like, for me, when you're in that spotlight, it's what kind of leader are you? Are you going to be able to rally the troops? Are you going to be able to get the people to jump on your back and guide the Bengals to a win? And I think that we also saw, like with Andy, I think it all goes back to that time right before the game where we've all seen this viral clip where he's trying to get everyone on the Bengals pumped before the game, and he's talking about playmakers, and you can hear his teammates don't even believe in him. And we can't have that if you're coming in at the quarterback position. So I think with Burrow having that personality, he's somebody that you want in your foxhole, right? He's somebody that you want to go to war with, especially when we're going into Heinz Field. Like, no offense to Andy and his faith, but I don't want you praying with Steelers after the game, bro. Like, it's time to go to war with these boys. You feel me? Like, nothing against that or anything. It's just, we don't want to do anything with the Steelers. I don't want to shake their hands. I don't want to, like, until we get this dub and we kick your face in, then we can shake hands and all of that. But we're not going to be cool with Steelers, bro. And I feel like Carson, in a sense, he did understand that aspect of it. I think Andy, for me, was a little too friendly with the Steelers. And I'm like, nah, man, this is the Steelers. Like, nah, this is definitely the Steelers. But moving on to other aspects of the draft, what would you say is, a specific position or player you would like to see the Bengals take from like the second round to the third round? Like, so obviously the first pick is going to be Joe Burrow. We know that already, but what are some other positions that you think that they might not have hit in free agency, or maybe even if they did hit it in free agency, could be a position that they should hone in on? B-States, I'm going to start with you.
Again, as far as like a hole that we need to fill, I feel like our biggest weaknesses are definitely our offensive line and linebacker position. With the way that our defense was looking towards the end of the year, it's looking like that. It just seems like it all the way around the league. They're starting to devalue linebackers. So I mean, at that 33rd pick, I'm not sure if they are going to go linebacker, but I would love to see Queen from LSU or Murray if they're available. So I'm like, if one of them guys were to slide in the fall, I would love to see one of them with the Bengals, just to put somebody really in the middle of a quality guy in the second tier of the defense and just in the middle of your defense, especially bringing in Reader. I feel like that's just going to be a good look for us.
Right. Now we also are joined by my man Cleve. Cleve, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Now I wanted before we continue and talk about the other positions in the draft, I know Cleve, you felt like there are some other prospects at the quarterback position that we could do better in terms of Burrow. All of us have basically been pro Burrow, but I do want to get the other side of that. I want you to keep it real. I want to represent both sides in terms of Joe Burrow. So if you could give us your insight on Joe Burrow and why the Bengals shouldn't go with Burrow if you do feel that way, and if they don't, what are some alternative options for them?
Yeah, I was big on trading the pick and picking up more picks. I wouldn't have a problem picking Joe Burrow number one. But let's say if somebody like the Dolphins want to come in and add up 3 first rounds this year or 2 this year and a second and the first next year, it would be hard for me to pass up on that.
Right.
Because this team got so many holes that I don't think just one quarterback is going to fix it. I think with those extra picks, we can plug in and put other people's in place and get maybe like a Love or Herbert or Tua, and we'd be just fine with those picks. But I'm all okay for drafting Burrow at number
Right.
one.
You just feel like if you got like a king's ransom or something like that, it would make you consider it.
To me, I would just say don't knock just the trade. Let's see what's out there.
Right.
And
Gotcha.
we get a good return, then go ahead. But obviously, Joe Burrow is the number one quarterback. I'm not going to argue that one.
Right. Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Irreplaceable.
So one thing that we were talking about, Cleve, was outside of the quarterback position, like looking at the second and third rounds, is there any particular position that you're looking for the Bengals to go after? And I know you do your homework. Are there any prospects that you would like to see the Bengals take in that second to third round range?
Second round, I would go linebacker. Everybody would want Murray or Queen. But in that second round, I would actually trade back with that pick and go with somebody like Willie Gay out of Mississippi State. That's who I would go with in the second round. But like in the third round, I would go wide receiver and get maybe a Claypool, somebody like that. Then in fourth, I would try to get the tight end from Missouri. I can't pronounce his name.
Albert O. You talking about Albert O that ran the 4.4?
Yeah.
Okay.
If he there the fourth, I wouldn't mind seeing them trying to grab him.
Okay, cool. Moody, who are some of the players or positions that you kind of feel like the Bengals should go after on day 2?
Starting with I know they talk about they want a edge kind of guy that's kind of that can get after the quarterback, stop the run, hold the edge, maybe drop back in coverage a little bit. So they kind of I think they're going to be drooling over Zach Bond from Wisconsin, the edge guy. He kind of reminds everybody of what is it, the Patriots, former Patriots linebacker. I think he's with the Dolphins now, Kyle Van Noy. Like he can do it. He's very versatile. He can do a lot. I wouldn't mind that pick if they was to make that pick. But if it was me, like Cleve said, I think you trade back, gain an additional third or maybe a fourth or something like that. And the player that I want the most in the second round, and I think is going to help us down the line because I think kind of they're going to maybe let John Ross go next year. Is T. Higgins from Clemson, wide receiver from Clemson. He's just like AJ Green. Like he's like a clone of AJ Green. I know people tried to say Devontae Parker was AJ Green a couple of years ago, but he didn't wind up being AJ Green. I didn't really think he was AJ anyway. But this guy T. Higgins from Clemson, he was one of the top receivers probably in the country last year, last two seasons, and he's smooth. He has great hands. He don't drop passes. I think maybe it's a stat where 40% of his catches or something like that went for first downs, or it was some crazy stat like that. But it was times where Trevor Lawrence would just throw it up to him, and he would go get it and come down with it. I mean, he has some knick-knack injuries here and there, but he always came back from. He's tough. But he, having AJ Green, T. Higgins on one side, Tyler Boyd in the slot, and then John Ross or Arden Tate, another big B6'5" guy that can jump ball specialist. Like you just surround Burrow with all those receivers. I wouldn't be mad if they a Josh Jones dropped us, the tackle from Houston. I believe he's from Houston. Yep. And I wouldn't be mad if he dropped to us and we took him because we definitely could use him at right tackle or even inside at guard because he got a little nasty Main Street. And he was at the Senior Bowl, I believe, and Zach Taylor and the staff met with him. Third and fourth round, I kind of wouldn't mind, Cleve touched on the Albert O guy, the tight end. I kind of wouldn't mind Randy Moss' son, Thaddeus Moss. Right. He can block and he can go, and he can run and catch. He's not the fastest, but he can block and he can catch. And he's, was word from LSU. He's one of the smartest players that was on that team. And, I think at the combine, it was other coaches were saying that he, there you go, Mark right there saying T. Higgins had to catch every 5 passes or something like that. Appreciate that, right. Mark. It was just, it's a crazy stat like that. But, back to Thaddeus Moss. He was one of the smartest players at LSU. And then, in the combine, and coaches, other coaches was raving about how, how smart he was. So, it never hurt to have smart guys. Bill Belichick, he loved, his players wasn't always the most athletic, but they were very smart. So, it never hurt to have smart guys. So, yeah. Yeah,
appreciate that, Moody.
Yeah.
Just gonna do some shout outs real quick to some people in the chat. Craig, the tech guy, appreciate you, bro. We also have my guy Ken, KG, man. We missing you over here, bro. But I see that you're very active in the chat, letting things be known. We really need you up here, man, because we need that Andy Dalton. We need the Andy Dalton supporter up here, man, to hear that side of things. But Anthony, who are some players that you're kind of looking forward to on day 2, day 3 that the Bengals can go after, and what positions do you think they should go after?
I'm not sold on the guard. I'm not sold on the guard position. I really think they need to attack that O-line still. I was looking at the guy they got from picked up from Dallas. That was a Dallas team last year. And when you really look at his tape, man, he don't really look that good. To me, he don't. He didn't look like much of an upgrade from what was it? Miller who was on guard. He didn't look like much of an upgrade. Definitely from a strength point of view. So I definitely think they should attack that guard position real heavy. And linebacker, man. I don't think we need to go wide receiver early. I think we can go wide receiver maybe 4th or 5th round, but I think 2nd and 3rd should be either guard, linebacker, or linebacker guard. And I like the what's his name, Gunther. I like that kid, man. He fast, dude. Like, and I think that's what we missing that those smarts and that speed. So I like that. I like that kid at linebacker.
Yeah, I have to agree with a lot of everything that y'all said. It's a lot of options out there for us. One thing that I'm kind of looking at closely is with the guard situation not being as fluid this year or not as stacked this year. I kind of wonder where they go in that situation because I'm not really comfortable with Michael Jordan or the other guy they grabbed from Dallas, Xavier Su'a-Filo. Like, I'm cool with them being in the mix. But I feel like that position kind of scares me because there's kind of some uncertainty between those two areas. And I feel like in this draft, there's only so many guards you can take because there's not really like if you don't get one of the top 2 or 3, you really essentially are bringing in the same kind of level guy. Maybe I might be mistaken, but when I was looking at it the other day, I was like, man, it's not that many guards out there. So I kind of wonder, where the sweet spot is going to be for the guards this year. There doesn't seem to be a surefire first-round guard, but I'm wondering, like, in the third round, if that's possibly a sweet spot. But then you also have the issue of the linebacker position and also the right tackle position, too, because I doubt any of us are truthers in Bobby Hart. We all know Bobby Hart isn't getting the job done either. And I have more faith in probably Michael Jordan than I do Bobby Hart, to be honest with you. But it's real hard to gauge what they're going to do, man, because they spent so many assets. It seems like on the defensive side, I feel like in the draft, they might want to concentrate on the offensive side and with the offensive line. But then there's a whole bunch of curveballs, like the Joe Mixon situation. It seemed like they could have possibly thought about taking a running back too as well later on. But I think with them signing Jaquez Patrick, maybe they aren't, but that's still a potential position that they could look at too with things being uncertain for Joe Mixon, especially with Christian McCaffrey just breaking the bank. That was just kind of wild to me. I kind of knew that was bad news for us because I was like, man. And then we kind of talked about uncertainty at the wide receiver position. Is a T. Higgins gonna be there? If he's there, how can you pass on him? And then it's like, if Josh Jones is there, how can you pass on him? There's gonna be a lot of guys. I think even though I'm not really a big fan of him, I think that there's a good chance that Kenneth Murray could be there too. So there's gonna be a lot of like linebackers and linemen, and I think that the Bengals are gonna have some interesting ways they can go. Now it seems like Zach Bond is also potentially a guy that could be there. This is a guy that might knock two needs off for the Bengals in terms of his edge rushing ability, as well as some possible ability to play linebacker. Obviously, he played mostly at edge, but people seem to think at the next level he can possibly do more. But it's hard, man. It's hard to say, like, and given this situation, it's almost like, too, like, given that they did so bad last season when they moved back and kept moving back and got Drew Sample and just completely killed that pick and, let other guys that were much better go before them by doing that. I almost don't even want them to move back because, like, everybody knows, we all know when you watch the draft every year after the first round, there's like 1 or 2 or 3 players that should have went way earlier that's just sitting there. And, like, for the Bengals, I don't know if I can pass on one of those guys. I don't know if I could do that.
I almost feel like they should move up rather than moving back. Like, I think they should try to flip that second round pick and try to get up. Definitely, if you see a linebacker like Murray still on the board instead of waiting on one of them later teams to snatch him up, like
right. Like if a Josh Jones is sitting there, like, why not move up and just grab him? Like, I mean, it depends on how the board falls. Like, if there's still a whole bunch of tackles left there, then maybe not. But I think depending on the runs at the position will kind of determine that. Cleve, I saw you didn't seem like you're a Zach Bond fan. No. Let me know what you think about Zach Bond.
I just think he's more of a 3-4 outside linebacker.
Exactly.
I don't see him fitting us. I know we run multiple fronts and do all that, but I just don't see how he fits us. Like, if we put him, we ever bust out the 3-4, or we put Lawson and Hubbard in that spot, I just don't see where he help us at all.
That's what I'm wondering, because, like, there's a lot of rumors coming out saying that the Bengals could be going to a 3-4 this year. They wanted to do it. It kind of seems like it might be true because when they interviewed the cat from Florida last year, he came from a 3-4 defense. The one that turned him down and was like, "Nah, we don't have the personnel right now to do this." Yeah, Todd Grantham. Like they ran a 3-4.
I feel like we're weak as far as personnel. We're weak in the linebackers. So why do I want to put more linebackers on the field?
Right, exactly. That's true. That's true.
Like, I kind of, and I mean that was like with the whole Burrow and Chase Young. Like as a Bengals fan, I feel like Dunlap had a hell of a year last year. I feel like Sam Hubbard is a couple steps away from being a higher tier type defensive end. Like I feel like he's coming along well. Like that's a good draft pick. Like I really didn't feel like Chase Young was the biggest need. And I'm a Buckeyes fan, so it's like, yeah, I love Chase Young. I feel like he's going to be a generational talent. But as far as looking at the Bengals, like I actually like what we have on the D-line.
Right.
Yeah, we don't need no D-line help.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see exactly what y'all talking about. Dunlap definitely went ham. Sam Hubbard had a great year, 8 sacks. I think the unknown, though, is that Carl Lawson is going to be going into his last year next year. So if Carl Lawson walks away, is Sam Hubbard, do we think that Sam Hubbard by himself is enough to be there in terms of that depth after Dunlap?
I mean, Carl Lawson is never available.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think he's gone. I think they're gonna let him go next year.
Not only that, if you don't think that, if you think that, then you pick somebody later in the draft, like 5th, 6th round to groom. You don't pick them.
See, I think the DC. My bad to cut you off, but I think the DC Anarumo. I think he loves Zach Bond. I've been reading a lot of Hobbs articles, and they keep every time they talk about Zach Bond, they talk about the defensive coordinator. And I think we're gonna run more 3-4 this year. Y'all don't think we are, but I think we are. I think we are moving to a 3-4, whereas though you're gonna have Rita, Gino, and Tupou on the insides. Switching out with Dunlap on the inside, and then you're gonna have, Lawson and Hubbard. Maybe they stand Dunlap up some, and if you draft a Zach Bond, he's going to be on the edge. I think they absolutely love Zach Bond versatility.
Maybe they bring Williams down in the box to play one of those linebackers.
See, they did. They ran like that 5-2, 3-4 kind of look. Like I think, I get exactly what you're saying, B. When it comes to the linebacker, you got to have the linebackers, but you also got to think guys like Dunlap and Hubbard, they're going to stand up and be quote unquote linebackers in the 3-4. So I think that's what they're trying to do is they're trying to get them to stand up. And I mean, for me, I wouldn't drop the Carlos Dunlap in the coverage, but I wouldn't be as worried if I had to, right? He's athletic enough. Not every other guy can do that though. So the only thing that worries me, Willie Anderson talked about it when people were saying on Twitter, oh, the Bengals are supposed to switch to a 3-4. He was like, if they do that, they're not going to get any sacks. And that kind of worried me because I'm like, I know he's a lineman. I know he's played in the NFL. I know he knows what he's talking about. So I'm like, man, if they do that, I'm kind of worried about it. But the other thing you have to remember, Carl Lawson really is a 3-4 guy. DJ Reader came from a 3-4, so I'm kind of worried and I know Sam Hubbard, since Ohio State, they have multiple fronts and stuff like that. They have some 3-4 looks. I'm wondering if that's what they're doing, and I think if they do that, I think it's going to be a mistake because when I had Sean Williams on, he talked about how the first year that staff just tried to get them to do too much. They tried to make the players think too much, and I think that's exactly what you would do if you switch these guys from a 4-3 to a 3-4. So I definitely get that aspect of it. And I definitely feel like if we do stick with a 4-3, Zach Bond probably isn't the best pick of a guy to have there. We don't want another Dante Moak again like we've seen before in the past.
But I feel like who's going to be our interior backers outside of
Bonds?
Go to a 3-4.
I think you go with Pratt and Bonds.
I feel like Pratt and Bonds. I feel like the pick has to be a linebacker if you decide just to go to a whole 3-4.
Right. I think they would try to get away with Pratt and Bonds, but you know, if you have an injury to either one of those guys or, you know, someone needs to spell them, I don't think you have anyone unless, like you said, you take another linebacker. But for me, I don't know how a 3-4 for me, I feel like one of our biggest weaknesses on defense has been we don't have a linebacker that can cover anybody, whether that's a slot receiver, whether that's a tight end. So I don't see how a 3-4 really solves that issue. And that's what I'm kind of worried about. Like Josh Bonds is a hell of a player. He's very smart. I'm not sure if between him and Pratt, we have a guy that has that, you know, great to elite like coverage ability from the linebacker position. And that's one thing I kind of worry about too is like that's the only thing I feel like Kenneth Murray kind of has going for him. He's not the greatest tackler, but he can cover those tight ends. So that's the only thing that kind of worries me is do we have that coverage linebacker to be able to come in and be on safeties? Now their plan could be to go 3 safety, use Von Bell, use Sean Williams, use our guy Jesse Bates. That could be the solution as well. What were you gonna say, Moody?
I said, hey, draft. What is it? Zim guy, Willie Gay Jr.
Willie Gay Jr. Yeah,
he's
like
very
Willie
good at
Gay.
coverage. Yeah.
I like Will. Will is definitely that's a great point. Yeah, if we could get Will, man, that would be some love, and I think they actually have a possibility of that happening just because the Tim Lakubu or whatever the dude name was, the linebacker coach we had last year, actually coached him at Mississippi State the year before. So if they did need to reach out to him to figure out any information on him, they could. So I seen that they've met with him a couple of times, and I hope that he would end up being the pick for sure.
Yeah, see, that's why I said pick in the second round by trading back.
Yeah, right. You get extra picks. Yeah,
get extra picks. Yeah, man.
Trade back, grab him, and plus he got an attitude.
Who, Willie Gay?
He got an attitude. We need somebody on defense like perfect. I know a lot of people didn't like him, but he gave our defense some toughness.
Yeah,
right. We definitely need that toughness.
Yeah, Willie Gay got a highlight where he picking off Tua and taking it back. I was like, he just jumped right in the lane and picked off Tua. It was he can run.
We need that. Yeah. We just need that to be Ben Roethlisberger throwing it right to
him. But plus, he's fast too. He's fast.
I think he ran like a 4.46.
You would have learned a lot more about him if he didn't get suspended.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So as far as the tight end position, obviously Tyler Eifert is gone. For me, that was like the biggest blow. I was kind of upset about that a little bit. I understood it though because it's a business. It is what it is, but that one kind of hurt. Yeah, bro. Yeah. That one definitely hurt to see Tyler Eifert move on. So now we have CJ Uzomah and we have Drew Sample. Do you guys feel confident enough to roll with that? Because this doesn't seem like it's the strongest tight end class. Do you still think that they need to go in and go after a tight end in this draft? B, I'm gonna start with you.
I honestly, I'm cool with Uzomah just off of the role that tight ends played in Taylor's offense. Like, I mean, even with Eifert being healthy last year, we obviously seen there was a lot of Bengals fans that weren't happy with how Eifert was handled last year. I mean, I think it was more of one of them situations where you have a guy that has a terrible history of injuries, and it was just more of let's work these young receivers in and just try to keep this guy healthy. Right. And I mean, maybe in the long run, honestly, Taylor might have gave him a chance to earn another contract somewhere else just by having a full year healthy.
Right.
But I mean, if we were to go tight end in the draft, I love the UC's tight end. What's his name? Degara. Yeah. I mean, I like that kid. If he's something that could fall to us, that's just not what I want to do at 33. Now, if we trade back and a guy like that falls to us, I mean, the more playmakers you can add to a rookie quarterback, I mean, the more favor you're doing yourself. So I wouldn't be against that.
Right. Yeah, I have to agree with you. I definitely wouldn't.
Somebody said no Patrick Queen love.
No Patrick Queen love.
Patrick Queen. I honestly like between if I could go if if Murray or Queen falls to 33, I'm all over either one of them guys.
Right.
No, we got a lot of Patrick Queen love. That's why we ain't got him going at 33. He gonna be
right.
gone.
Yeah.
Patrick,
Exactly.
he's gonna be gone. I think he's going like I think he's going. Yeah, he's gonna be. That's why I didn't even work. I didn't even mock him or Murray to us. I think both gonna be gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, I think both of them gonna be gone too. Like if we were to end up with Murray or Queen, like bro, I feel like we aced the draft for real. Like,
right.
Honestly.
Right. Yeah, I really want to know where they're gonna go with that.
Day one, that would be day one starters for me. 2 day one starters. Like,
yep,
I'm cool.
Right. In terms of other areas in the draft, do you guys think like a safety is something that the Bengals could still get? I know a lot of people have been talking about Antoine Winfield, or let's say for instance Grant Delpit if he's there. Is that someone that they should look at? I personally feel like after talking to Sean Williams, you guys know that I've come around on Sean Williams after talking to him man to man, hearing what he had to say from his aspect, and actually going back and rewatching. I don't know if I told you this or not, Moody, but when I went back and watched the film, I was like, man, Sean Williams isn't as bad as I've been saying he is. Like, he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good. Not as bad as I tried to roast him on. But do you guys think that safety is like a surprise pick? Cleve, what do you think about safety? Nah,
safety good for the next 3 years. We good.
Anthony, safety? You think there's a safety out there that they can pick up, or you think we're pretty much solid at safety?
I would take the cat from Clemson, man. The late, like he's available late. No, not him. I think he's like play safety and linebacker. Like he's like man or something like that.
Okay.
I know he played for Clemson. I would take him late. Like if we can get him like in a late, if he's there late, I think he could be a good cat.
Moody, are you a fan of the safety, or you think we're pretty much good?
I mean, as much as I think safety is a luxury pick, I would love Grant Delpit. I think my favorite safety in the draft is I think he's from California, Ashton Davis.
Okay.
He's a beast. He is a beast. I think his cover skills are great.
Xavier McKinney.
Yeah, I like him too, but
Tanner Muse,
is a luxury pick.
Going up the comments with Tanner Muse. I need to check this dude out. Is Tanner Muse that good?
Okay, he's slick. Yeah,
okay.
He all right.
Hey, if you can catch him late, bro, I think he would definitely be a steal.
Mm-hmm.
One position that's been kind of a hot topic is wide receiver. I know, Moody, you kind of talked about T. Higgins, but we can't have this conversation without talking about this loaded wide receiver class. If you could pick one receiver, and obviously we're not going to include Jerry Jeudy or guys that aren't really going to be realistic CeeDee Lambs. We know that those guys aren't going to be there. But if you could pick between someone like a Michael Pittman, Denzel Mims, Brandon Ayuk, or any of those guys that will likely be there in the second round, which guy would you pick? Cleve, let's start with you.
I wouldn't even take him in the second round. I'd take him in the third or the fourth. Chase Claypool.
Nice. I like that.
6'4", 4'3". Remind me of Mike Evans all day long. If he had a better quarterback at Notre Dame, we'll be talking about him more.
What about you, Anthony? Which wide receiver would you take?
Man, I like Devin Duvernay, bro. I like that dude, man. I think he's gonna be from Texas. I was looking at his tape, man. I think he's gonna be a dog in the slot, man. Like the way he's built, like he's gonna be hard to take down.
He's shifty.
Like I think he's gonna be nice.
Right. I think for me, man, all of these guys, I like Michael Pittman out of USC. I really like what he brings to the table. The guy that flashed the most for me was Jalen Reagor. Like, I'm not sure if he's going to be there or not. I like Reagor, though. But
John Ross 2.0.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a luxury pick. Like, it's like you already have Tyler Boyd, who's locked in. You already have AJ that's locked in. You still got Auden Tate coming next year. You also have John Ross, who can explode with Joe Burrow. So it's like I'm conflicted, man. It's like I almost feel like I would pass on Jalen Reagor even if he was there in the second round because there's other needs that we could, essentially take care of. If there is one of those linebackers like we talked about, like even if it came to Willie Gay and him, I would still rather have Willie Gay instead at that area because I know that in the third or fourth round, I can still get a Duvernay. I can still get some of those other guys out there. And this is just a loaded wide receiver class. But when I think about T. Higgins just being there too, it's like, man.
That's my dog right there.
I can't wait. I want to see Alden Tate and AJ Green on the field at the same time, dude. Like I want to see what that looked like. Like the way Alden Tate emerged last year, and I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan, so I hate Florida State players. But the way he played last year, to see him and AJ on the field at the same time, I just think that would just be crazy, bro. They both big, Tate catches everything. Like
right. Just so you guys know, man, we got 90 people tuned in right now. So appreciate you guys rocking with us, leaving all these comments, man. We were having a really good time. But we're kind of going. Go ahead,
Antonio Gandy Golden. That's a sleeper too. I forgot what things might put that in.
Yeah, look, that's a perfect segue, bro. I don't want to hold y'all for too much longer, but if everybody could give a sleeper,
T. Higgins.
Or a sleeper that you have in the draft. Yeah.
Tyler Johnson, the Minnesota wide receiver. I like him too.
Okay. Anybody else got any sleepers?
What's the receiver coming out of Baylor?
Denzel Mims.
Oh, Mims. Oh, he ain't no sleeper no more.
He ain't no sleeper though.
Not no more.
It hurts me to say this because I hate Ohio State, but KJ Hill, bro, I think he's a sleeper. And
he's a worker. He work hard.
That hurts me to say.
Some people in the comments are saying Ben Bark. I think he's a tackle or something like that.
Yeah.
Gandy, Len Bowden from Kentucky. I like what Len brings. He can bounce between running back and wide receiver, right? Joe Burrow is a huge sleeper.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I would love if you guys can, man, to try to do a recap, like maybe after the draft, just whenever we can get free, man, and just definitely go through these picks and digest it. I know right now we're just kind of throwing darts at a target right now. We don't know what it's gonna be, but I just want to say I appreciate you guys for coming on. I definitely love doing this, man, bringing everything full circle. Before we get out of here, if you want to let people know like where they can find your stuff at, whether that's Twitter, Facebook, whatever, Instagram, don't matter. Moody, we can start with you.
Mine was always up there. The whole show is my Twitter, Forever Fly T. The Instagram is T Moody Fly, all one word. But
Anthony, let them know where they can find you at, bro.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, both is Rad_1914. Facebook, I'm Anthony Gray. So yeah.
Beat Stage, let them know where they can find you at, bro. Oh, it looked like he cut out. Cleve, let them know.
Facebook, Cleve Anderson. I need to start
any Bengals fan group.
Start me on Twitter. I know my handle, Cleve Bayless.
Beat Stage, where can they find you at, bro?
Find me on Instagram only_up_credit repair_ at on Instagram.
Okay, cool. Appreciate you. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you guys for being on. Thanks for checking in with us in the live chat. As usual, we're gonna leave y'all with a who day all day, every day, and especially on draft day.
Who day?